Hello all, welcome back. So today I'll be teaching you the basics of pointers in C programming language. It's only the basic introduction of pointers, okay? I'll teach you what exactly is a pointer, what is a pointer variable, how to declare a pointer variable, how to initialize pointer variables with examples. Fine? Okay. So everyone used to think pointer is a bit tough, but it's not the case. It's very easy if you just understand how to declare a pointer, okay, and how to initialize pointer variable and how to use pointers. If you understand these 3 points, it's very easy. Pointer is very easy, okay? So let's don't waste time. Let's move on to the actual topic. Now let me first teach you what is the actual difference between variable and a pointer. Okay, so what is a variable? How do you define a variable? Okay, I'll tell you variable. What is a variable? Variable is used to hold values for computation, correct? Or to store values for computation, right? It is mainly used to hold values or to store values for computation. So we make use of variables. Okay, suppose I want to perform C is equal to A plus B, where A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20. Okay, I'll make use of lowercase. Okay, what are variables here? C, C is a variable, A is a variable, B is a variable. Okay, so how do you define a variable? Variables are mainly used to store values. They are mainly used to store values for performing computation or any calculation. Okay, so where exactly these values, variables should be stored? The values should be stored. It should be stored in the memory. So where do we store? We store actually in the memory. So how do we declare a variable? Let me first teach you how to declare a variable. Okay, so the syntax, the basic syntax for declaring a variable is we have to write data type. What is the type of data each variable should hold? Type of data means the primitive data types: integer, float, char. All these are primitive data types. Okay, so what type, which means what type of data the variable should hold. For example, I've taken 10 here. So what does 10 mean? 10 is an integer value. Okay, so what value A stores? What type of data A stores? A stores integer data type. So what is the data type of A? Variable A, it should be int. That is the keyword. So we have to specify the data type followed by variable name. Okay, then followed by semicolon, because each and every statement in C should be terminated with semicolon. This is the actual syntax of C programming language, okay, for declaring a variable. So what actually do you mean by declaration? So what is the meaning of declaration? Declaration means I need to reserve some memory space for variables. For example, if I'm going to make a declare variable A, okay, please make a note in C programming language, before using this particular variable, before using variable in any expression or assigning any values, we have to declare the variable. Okay, so declaration should be done before using the variable. This is a basic rule in C programming. Okay, so what do you mean by declaration? I'll just write the syntax. Suppose I want to declare variable A as integer data type. Okay, what is the syntax? It is data type space variable name, right? So what is the data type? If it should hold an integer value, it is int, everything in lowercase. So int followed by what is the variable name? A. Give a semicolon. So this is the syntax for declaring a variable. Okay, so immediately after this line, what exactly will happen? I'll teach you. So which means memory space will be reserved. Memory space is reserved for A. Okay, so let me just teach you. So just for simplicity purpose, I'll write if this is the memory space. Okay, this is the memory space. Suppose at address 1000, variable A is stored. Okay, which means 1000 is the first byte of variable A. Okay, what is the total size of variable A? What will be the total size? It is 4 bytes for integer. The size is 4 bytes, which means 1000 to 1003. The entire block, this entire block will be reserved for A, which means 4 bytes of memory space will be reserved for A. Similarly, 4 bytes for B. And even if C should hold, a sum of two numbers of integer data type, then C should also be integer data type. So how many bytes? 4 bytes. Okay, for each and every variable, 4 bytes of memory will be reserved. So what will declaration do? It reserves memory space for that particular variable. Okay, now how do we initialize? Okay, moving on to initialization, let me move on to pointers. Now you understood what is a variable. It is mainly used to store values or hold values for computation. Okay, so what it should have? All these are variables, right? Each and every time it varies. It's not constant. Okay, how do you declare variable? The syntax is data type followed by variable name. Okay, int a, int is the data type, and a, which means a is a variable which can hold integer data type. Okay, if it is float a, this is one more primitive data type. Float a means a will hold floating point values. Got it? Okay, so what will happen after this particular line, after declaration statement? Immediately 4 bytes of memory space will be reserved for that particular variable. Okay, now moving on to pointer. What exactly is a pointer? So it is a special type of, it is a special variable. A pointer is a special variable that holds, note down, address of another variable. Got it? So what is a pointer? A pointer is a special variable that holds address of another variable. Understand, it should hold address of another variable. This is the actual definition. Okay, now let me teach you how to declare a pointer variable, then I'll teach you the actual difference here. Okay, so how do we declare? Syntax is very simple. Syntax, it's again data type space, see the declaration here, data type space variable name, right? Whereas for pointer declaration, it is data type space star operator followed by pointer name. I'll just use ptr followed by semicolon. Okay, you can write variable name pointer underscore variable, pointer variable semicolon. So data type space star pointer variable name. So this is the actual syntax for pointer declaration. So what will happen here for pointer declaration? Okay, immediately after this, it is the same thing, the same concept. Okay, what will happen? This will also be, this will also have similar kind of memory reference because it is declaration. Okay, this will be referred with ptr. Suppose I have, I'll just write int z data type space star ptr semicolon. This is how you declare a pointer variable, and this is how you declare a normal variable. Okay, if this is the declaration int star ptr, then what will happen? Suppose if this is at address 2000, okay, ptr will be pointing to address 2000. Now this is where the memory space is reserved for pointer variable. You got it? But please make a note. See, what is this? It is int star ptr. Int is the data type, star ptr is the pointer variable. What does it mean? When I explained here, it was, if it is int a is a variable of data type int, which means a value should be of integer data type. Now what is this? It doesn't mean ptr is not integer data type. Understand, it is a wrong way of understanding. ptr is a pointer variable that holds address of another variable that holds integer value. Got it? You understood? So what is the actual meaning of this pointer declaration? ptr is a pointer variable. What is a pointer variable? It holds address of another variable. So what will ptr hold? It holds address of one more variable. Okay, but of that variable should hold integer data type. Understood? This is the actual meaning of int, the return type, the data type. You got it? It is not a pointer variable of integer type. It is wrong. This is wrong way of understanding. A pointer holds address of another variable where that variable should hold what value? Integer value. This is the understanding. You got it? Okay. Now you understood. Now I'll teach you what is initialization. See here, I said A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, right? If it is only A and B, I'll write here. See here, int A, this is declaration, right? If I don't initialize, initialization means giving initial values, assigning initial values to a variable. Okay, if some value is not given to a variable, then it holds garbage value. Please understand. Okay, if you just write only after this statement, if you try to print a value of A, then which means A will hold a garbage value. So we need to initialize the variable, right? How do we initialize? I can write int A is equal to, I can give 10 semicolon, which means int A, after this particular line, after this int A statement, memory space will be allocated. Okay, and if I haven't initialized anything, then this particular value inside A will be a garbage value. Understood? But this is how you initialize a normal variable, which means now A will have, what will A have? It will have 10. Now it will move to that particular address and 10 will be stored inside A after this particular sentence. Okay. After int A declaration, it will be an empty space. After you initialize any value for that particular address, it will go inside that and it will store value 10. Okay. This is how you initialize a variable, normal variable. But how do you initialize a pointer variable? See, understand, this is how you declare int star ptr, or there's one more way, int star space I can give ptr. This is also a valid declaration. Okay, I can give int space star space ptr. This is also a valid pointer declaration. Okay, any one you can use. Okay, now what is the actual value within ptr? What did I say? What is the definition? It is a special type of variable that holds address of another variable, or I can even name it as a derived data type. So I can tell a pointer variable is also a derived data type, which means it is deriving the data type from other variable. Understand? Okay. I'll again repeat. PTR is a pointer variable that holds address of another variable where that variable should hold what type of data? Integer data. Okay. Now moving on to pointer initialization. So how do you initialize a pointer variable? So int space, I can give star, I'll use a star ptr, this is declaration, enter. Okay, now this is how you declare. After this statement, you will have this particular scenario situation here. Now I need to initialize, like in A is equal to 10, I need to add value, right? A10 is a normal value, but ptr should hold address of some other variable, right? So how will I initialize? This is very important. You should know how to initialize a pointer variable. What is pointer variable? Ptr. See here, I can either write like this. After declaration, I can give A is equal to 10. Okay. So after this, I can write PTR is equal to, okay, which means it should hold address of another variable, right? So I have to use one operator, which is called address operator, ampersand, address of a variable, a normal variable. So let me use int A semicolon int star PTR. So what is PTR? I'll directly write here. I'll initialize A value with 10. Okay, int A is equal to 10, int star PTR. Now what is PTR? PTR is equal to address of A semicolon, which means PTR will hold address of another variable. So what is A? Where is A actually stored? At address 1000, right? So what is PTR value here? PTR value is address of A. What is address of A? It is 1000. Got it? Okay, so these two lines, the first one is declaration of pointer variable, then initialization of a pointer variable. These two are mandatory. You got it? Understood? Now what will happen now? There is a link, right? This will be PTR is pointing to PTR is pointing to A. Understood? You got it? So PTR is equal to address of A means now PTR has a link to variable A. You understood? So this is how you initialize a pointer variable. You got it? Okay, now I can write, this is also valid. I can write the other way. Okay, comma, star ptr, semicolon, enter. Then after that, ptr is equal to address of A, semicolon. This is also valid. This is also correct. You got it? So this is also, this way also you can do. Fine. Okay. Now I'll move on to few examples for both. Okay. Now let me take an example here. Int A semicolon float B semicolon. Now there are two variables. Okay. Int A and float B. Now let me give value of integer as 10, floating value as 3.2. Okay. Now let me declare a pointer variable int star P. Okay. What will P have? P is equal to, I'll write address of A. Okay. I'll take A here. Now, the same example I'll write here. Int A is equal to 10 semicolon float B is equal to 3.2. Okay, I'll take the same example here. Now, just observe int star P, P is equal to address of A, right? Now, what will this have? P will have address of A, correct? Now, after these lines, now if I write float, I'll just take an example and I'll teach you. Okay, now there are two memory spaces here. Okay, A, then you will have one for B. Fine. Suppose this is at address 1000, A is at address 1000. This is variable A, and what is the value? Value of A is 10. Okay, now B is placed here. Assume it is at address 3000. Okay, B, what is the value here? Value is 3.2, right? Correct? Okay, now after int star P, what will happen? After int star P, you will have one more memory reference, right? One more memory reference. Assume it is at address 2000. PTR has been declared. Okay, and what is the value after this particular line? It will be address of A. What is address of A? Address of A is 1000. See, address of A is 1000. So it is pointing here, right? Now this is the situation. Now what did I say? If I write in star P, P is a pointer variable that holds address of another variable. But this integer, this data type will tell it is the address of another variable where that variable should hold integer data type, right? Which means when I write P is equal to address of A should also be integer and pointer variable should also be integer, right? Correct? Because this int will point to the data type of this particular variable A. Okay, now this is a valid syntax. Now suppose if I write address of B instead of address of A, if I write address of B, is it correct or wrong? Just think and say, is it correct or wrong? Because B is of floating point value, right? B holds a floating point value. But what is P? P is a pointer variable that holds address of an integer variable, understand? It points to the address of an integer variable. But what is P pointing now? It is address of B. But is B an integer or a floating point variable? It is a floating point variable. This is illegal. It is wrong. It is wrong way of writing. Okay, this is not accepted. Such concept is not allowed in case of pointers. Understood? You're clear? So this is wrong. This is wrong way of initialization. Which is the correct way of initialization? You should write P is equal to address of A. P is equal to address of A is the correct way of initialization, because it should hold as per the, this is correct, because as per the declaration of pointer variable, P is a pointer variable that holds integer data type, address. So address of A is correct. But when I write address of B, it is a wrong way of initialization. You understood? So this is the general overview of pointers in C. Okay. Then in my next video, I'll teach you how to retrieve the address using indirection operator or dereferencing operator. This is a basic. I'll just recap. A variable is mainly used to hold values or a data in order to perform computation. But what is a pointer variable? It is a special type of a variable that holds address of another variable. Normal variable can be declared using primitive data types like integer, float, char. Okay, but these are called derived data types because we are going to derive the data type from primitive data types. Okay, now how do you declare? Syntax is data type followed by variable name. A syntax is data type followed by star where pointer variable. Okay, now in star p will tell you it is a pointer variable that holds address of another variable, but that variable should hold integer data type. So this data type will tell what type of value, okay, the variable that is pointed by ptr should hold. Understood? So how do you initialize? It is normal initialization. Int a is equal to 10. Pointer initialization. After this is also valid. Okay, within single line I can write int a equal to 10 and star ptr, but ptr should have address operator. So star and address operator are mandatory. These lines are very important. Okay, and this is the example. Okay, if my pointer variable is integer, the data type syntax is integer, then a variable of integer data type address only should be stored, not with a different data type. Okay, so I hope you understood the concepts, the basic concepts. Let me catch you in my next video. Thank you.